Hi there, I'm Anya from Peony in Time, which is a small shop for knitwear and knitting patterns. You can find me on Etsy and also on Instagram, both at Peony in Time, and I'll include links in the description below for both of those. So today's video is video number 2 in a 4-part series called How to Knit in 4 Easy Steps. The first one was all about my favorite method for casting on, and I'll have a link for that in the description below. And so now that you know how to cast on like a pro, the next step is just learning the basic knit stitch. Right, so let's get started. So again, for this video, I'm using Lion brand Wool-Ease chunky yarn, and I'm using the recommended needle size, which is US size 10.5. Alright, so I already cast on, since we already definitely know how to do that. And I'm going to hold the needle with the stitches that are cast on my left hand, and then I'm going to hold the empty needle in my right hand. This is the piece of yarn that's attached to your skein, and then of course just a little tail. That's just going to hang out there, don't do anything with that. Alright, so you always want to start with the end of the needle that has the yarn coming off of it, just like this, and we're just going to work with this very last stitch on the end of the needle. So see how this loop kind of comes over the top, and then you can kind of poke your right needle in just like that into that space. See that? Alright, so you're just going to put your right needle in just like that, and then take the yarn and wrap it once around the end of the right needle, and then you're just going to pull that through that space and then pop that stitch, the old one, off the end of the left needle. Alright, and then you're just going to repeat that process with the next stitch. So you find that space in there, just right under that loop, put your right needle in, and then wrap the yarn around the end, pull that back through, and then pop that old stitch off the end of the left needle. And again, find that space in there, put your right needle in, that's what that looks like, wrap that yarn around, and then pull that back through, and then pop that old stitch off the end of the left needle. One last time, nice and slow. Find that space there, put your right needle through, wrap this yarn around the end, pull that back through, and then pop that old stitch off the end of the left needle. Then you're just going to continue that until the end of the row. So, if you look up here, you can pull that down a little bit, you can kind of see those classic little hearts. That's what your knit stitch looks like. And then on the other side, you have these little bubbles or purls. So, after we learn the purl stitch next week, you'll be able to do knit on one side and the purl stitch on the other, and then you'll have that really classic knit look called the stockinette stitch, where it's all hearts on one side and then all these little purls on the other. But today, since we're just doing the knit stitch, we're going to do what's called the garter stitch, which just means to knit and knit and knit. So now we just finished this side, so we just turn the needle around, and then again you hold that needle that you're working off of in your left hand, the empty needle in your right hand. We know this is the right end to start on because the yarn is coming off of it. And then just the same process. It just looks a little different because there's a little more bulk underneath it. So find that space underneath that loop. Put your right needle in. Wrap that yarn around. Pull it back through that space. And then pop that old stitch off. Again, find that space. Put your right needle through. Wrap that yarn around, pull it back through, pop that old stitch off. Alright, so this is what the garter stitch looks like after a few more rows. And again, the garter stitch is just simply that one knit stitch that we learned, just over and over again. So you can see it's the same front and back. It's really pretty. And that is it, guys. So once again, if you made it this far, congratulations, because you just learned the basic knit stitch. Let's have a celebratory drink of coffee. Alright, so in video number 1, we learned how to cast on. Video number 2, this video, we learned the basic knit stitch. Video number 3 next week will be the basic purl stitch, and video number 4 after that will be binding off. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope y'all have a wonderful week.